Hi! Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Chatting in My Closet. So, again, here we are in my closet. I think this is already the 7th episode, which is really exciting. I do one episode a month, so that means we've been chatting about a lot of different topics for the last 6 months, and this is now the 7th month, which is really exciting. Today's topic is the pandemic and fashion. So basically, the influence of the pandemic on the fashion industry, the changes in our consumption habits, and also the evolution of the luxury shopping experience. As always, these are my opinions. I'm not an expert. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, the Chatting in My Closet series is meant to be an open dialogue, an open discussion around a particular topic. I share my really candid thoughts on it, and I open the discussion to you guys, and really intend to continue that conversation in the comment section down below. So definitely let me know your thoughts, and I read all of them and I respond to all of them, so I look forward to hearing more of your thoughts afterwards. So the first pillar, if you will, that I wanted to touch upon is the pandemic's influence on fashion. And I think we can all agree that we've seen a very noticeable shift in fashion, in the styles that have been coming out, where they're a lot more focused on like cozy homeware, loungewear, like comfortable, relaxed silhouettes, and not so much super fancy, super done up or anything like that. I feel like even like in 2019, we'd seen a huge influence of streetwear in luxury fashion, and especially in luxury ready-to-wear. So we'd started seeing some of that shift, but now it's extremely pronounced, I feel. Like the key word is definitely cozy and comfortable, because so many of us are spending a lot more time at home. I know brands like Dior have an entire like essentials line. I think this is Dior Homme, so the men's line has an essentials subline line where it's all about the really classic but elevated hoodies and jogger pants and things like that that they've really been started to push. I think that line might have existed already, or it may have always been like the most standard like t-shirt design part of the men's collection, but they kind of they may have recently like formalized it more into like what they call the essential line, and kind of given it its own significance, given they might have felt it was really apropos with the world that we're living in today. But I definitely noticed the Dior men's had started to really market their essential line. And Louis Vuitton is coming out with a lot of slippers. They're the shearling slippers and the mink slippers, but they're also releasing new styles, different styles that play in with that comfy at home, but you might even be able to run outside for a quick errand in them. So Vuitton's in there. I mean, all the high street brands you can think of definitely have their, cozy loungewear sections. I've been seeing a lot of cashmere joggers or cashmere coordinated sets with like a sweater and joggers. So that's definitely one of the big shifts that I've seen, or one of the bigger influences the pandemic has had on fashion. It's actually on the styles of clothing that are coming out right now. I think the pandemic will also have influence on some of the trends too. The silhouettes again have become a lot more relaxed and comfortable. I think for shoes, there are also a lot more flats, a lot more sneakers, loafers, and combat boots that don't have a heel. They're all kind of flat soled to play with that notion of cozy and comfortable. I do think handbag trends will slowly start to lean towards larger handbags. And I say that because realistically, there are more things that people need to carry around. My handbag collection is pretty like mini bag focused or mini bag heavy. I have the majority of my collection are mini bags. That's because on a day-to-day basis, I don't carry around a lot. I usually carry around like a card wallet, a small pouch with like some makeup essentials, and my keys, and that's usually it. But now as part of like my daily items, I've included like hand sanitizer. Sometimes I need to bring around wipes with me. I usually carry around my mask case. Like this is the mask case, and you can already see that it's pretty large. So I carry around my mask case so that I can put my mask in it if I need to. There are a lot more things that I'm carrying now than I used to. So even I myself am leaning towards carrying some of my larger bags because otherwise I won't have space. The trends are going to shift a little bit as well, to focus on comfortable, flatter shoes, larger handbags to carry more things, relaxed silhouettes to be more comfortable as well. Continue that kind of elevated but cozy and comfortable at home, but you can run out for errands type of like model off duty kind of look, you know? So those are some of my immediate thoughts on like what I think or how I think the pandemic has influenced fashion in terms of styles, silhouettes, trends, things like that. But I do anticipate that once as a whole, as a society, have like fully really overcome the pandemic and we feel like we are, you know, really coming out the other end, then I do think fashion will take another 180 kind of turn. I think the pendulum will swing the other way, where we will abandon sort of the comfort and cozy, and we will go for much more louder statement styles, bolder colors, like tighter silhouettes, right? All of these things that we couldn't really do, because now at that point, you know, we would be able to sort of enjoy life closer to normal, you know, like travel would be happening and restaurants would be open, bars would be open, things would be open, you know, so you'd have those kinds of events to go to, and I think people will want to dress up because they've spent, I mean, they would have spent like a year, hopefully it's less than a year, but it's probably going to be a year, just over a year, where we've really suppressed a lot of those activities. So I think it will switch over once we are, you know, as a society kind of getting over the whole pandemic. But for the immediate next few seasons, I still feel like cozy comfort is what's going to rule the whole kind of fashion scene. But what are your thoughts? How do you feel like the pandemic has influenced fashion? Let me know in the comments down below. So I think I forgot to mention my drink of choice today. This is just some plum juice in another Tom Dixon glass. I just really love their glassware. So that's what I have in here. I know it kind of looks like, you know, bourbon, brandy. I mean, it could be, but it's actually some plum juice. Usually helps with my digestion at the end of the day, and it's really great for just kind of, it's like a palate cleanser, so that's why I really like to drink this. The next pillar that I wanted to touch upon is actually the changes in our consumption habits. And I think the most notable and the most apparent component is the absolute explosion of e-commerce, and so many of us are purchasing things online. Maybe the stores are closed, or maybe there are, like, a lot of times the stores have really reduced hours, so things will close at like 7 p.m. and it's like after you work or after you finish a day of working, sometimes it's hard to get out in time before shops close. So sometimes it's, you know, you just have no other choice besides purchasing it online. Some of it I think is out of convenience, but e-commerce has definitely exploded. Not to the point where we see Chanel offering e-commerce yet though, which is still interesting. I think that's a deliberate choice they've made years ago, and one that perhaps they're just not willing to revisit. But I know places like Celine have opened up their own e-commerce portion on their official website, and places like Net-a-Porter and all of the department stores have really amped up their e-commerce business. And I feel like all the brands have also really tightened up their digital experience and had made it better. So they made their search better. So if you're looking for something, you're able to find it more quickly, or you're able to find styles that are much more similar. Quickly and easily. When it comes to digital experience, it's all about ease of use. That's the key kind of factor that's really going to keep bringing people back and keep people on the website. So I feel like I've noticed there are a lot more of those luxury brands that have really tightened that up, that have really spent some time and effort on updating their user experience to make sure that it's on par with some of the other websites that we're used to. Notably, like Chanel really advertised their Chanel app. I didn't know there was an app that existed, but they pushed kind of marketing messaging to me to get me to get on the app. They've organized the collection a lot more easily so that you can follow the new pieces that are part of a specific collection. You're able to like those pieces, add them. Actually, you just heart them, and I think that automatically gets added not to a wish list but to your likes, and your SAs are able to see the pieces that you like through the app. So it's almost a way that you can let your SA know that these are the things that you're interested in, so that they can let you know when they come into the boutique. In a way, that's how Chanel has amped up some of their digital presence through their app. I think it existed for a while. I think it launched probably in Paris first. Because I have a friend in Paris who mentioned the app to me before I even knew it existed. Once I got the invitation to try it is when that was in the summer, I think. So I think they're trying to push that out worldwide to increase their digital presence. And then because I don't really go into the boutiques just to browse, just because I'm in the area and I pop in to see what's new, I definitely have reduced a lot of that activity. I feel like my purchases are a lot more focused. I get a lot less distracted on other things that might be new in the boutique, and I really just go for something. It's probably something I saw online or something that I saw as part of the show, and I noticed it's something I want specifically from that collection, so that's what I either reach out to my SA for or go to the boutique to see, and it's I just buy that and I leave, right? It's a lot less just browsing and just seeing. It's pretty focused and specific to the original item I had in mind. At least that's what I noticed has kind of changed for me and my consumption habit. I don't necessarily think it means I consume less, though. I still think I have made a pretty similar amount of purchases this year than I did last year, but I think it's more they're items that I had thought through, had seen either multiple times or in different ways, and then I really knew that was something I wanted to get, and then I went for it. And then the third pillar that I wanted to touch upon is the evolution of the luxury shopping experience. I feel like the experience has definitely changed. Appointments are a must because the boutiques are monitoring the capacity and they're limiting the amount of people that can be inside at one time. A lot of times there will inevitably be a line to go into any one of the boutiques, and if you don't have an appointment, you have to either wait in line or you put your name on the list and they will reach out to you when it's your turn, because the sales associate is available to work with you. So I found it to be a lot more seamless. If I reach out to an SA, I let them know that I want to come in so that I basically make an appointment before I head in there, and I'm able to kind of avoid having to line up or wait for an SA to become available. Part of me likes that experience because the shops get a lot less crowded, a lot less chaotic sometimes. It's much more mellow, if you will, because there aren't as many people in there at the same time looking at things, and it does mean that you often have a very dedicated sales associate who's focused on servicing you at that time because you pretty much made an appointment for that time. But another part of me doesn't really, it kind of feels like extra work, you know what I mean? And I'm someone who likes to plan and kind of schedule out my day and things like that, but sometimes it feels like it's an extra bit, right? Like it's like an extra bit to see if the SA is working that day and what time we can go. And if for some reason, you wanted to go to multiple stores the same day, because you're out there, you might as well, hit all the stores when you're there. Then it turns into like, how do you time your appointments so that you have enough time to go to each one, and you know what I mean? So there is that little extra element of planning that goes into it that I think is interesting, and something to get used to, but also something that I don't mind as much as a consumer, as a customer. I can see the flip side of that, like the impact that it has on the boutique, because a lot of times, especially these boutiques that are on Fifth Avenue, would get a lot of sales from just walk-in clients. People, they might be tourists, like people who had just been walking by and they saw something in the window and they wanted to come inside and shop, right? So this whole like wait list concept might turn some folks away because they don't want to wait. So I think it's an interesting thing that the boutiques are trying to balance and get better at, but it's also an inevitable response to the pandemic, and trying to monitor the amount of people in the same space, because all the boutiques are indoors. It's not like there's an outdoor boutique, so that's the extra precaution that they're taking. I also noticed that each brand modified their in-store experience and services differently. So I remember when I was at Fendi in the summertime, they said that all the stuff that I tried on would have to go into quarantine for 24 hours. So basically they would put it away so no one else can really try it on or touch it until 24 hours later. Not all brands were doing that though, and I don't know if they're still doing it, but I'm sure some brands are still considering, trying to section out some of the pieces to reduce any risk. Some places don't have their restrooms open to the public anymore, but some boutiques still do. So that's a very boutique specific piece as well. And then, there's some brands who have discontinued their beverage service, so like they won't offer water or anything like that. While I feel like the experience does get a lot more personal and focused on you, because you will often have a dedicated time slot or an appointment to do your shopping, I also feel like some of the finishing touches, those are the pieces that are now missing or lacking because of the pandemic and like precautionary measures and all of that stuff. So I think it's an interesting balance, or an interesting place. Beverage service and restrooms will probably eventually get opened up as we all kind of move forward and kind of land at the other side. But I'm curious to see if this kind of appointment system continues or it doesn't. But let me know what you think. Like, do you think it's gonna stay this way? Do you like some of the changes? Do you think it's terrible? Like, definitely let me know in the comments down below. As this is the first episode of Chatting in My Closets in 2021, I didn't want it to be or seem too doom and gloom and all focused on the pandemic that I really want to leave behind in 2020. There is a lingering part of it that's still going to be a part of our lives, at least for the beginning portion of 2021. And I have full faith that a lot of it will be, like, we will find ourselves on the other side in 2021. But I did want to share some of my observations and thoughts on how I feel like the pandemic has really shaped or impacted the luxury fashion industry. What do you think have been some major changes in the luxe fashion world Do you think they're going to stick around, or you think they're going to go away once, you know, we're all done with this pandemic? Do you think some of the changes are good and they should stay, or you think all of them will kind of get dispersed or go away? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I will definitely check them out and respond. If you have any recommendations for topics that you would like to see me do next, feel free to leave those down in the comments as well. I like to pick up some additional ideas, add them to the list so that we can definitely talk about those soon. And if you haven't already noticed, usually a couple days after my Chatting in My Closet episode, I will release a poll on my community page asking you all to vote what topic you would like me to discuss next. I usually plan to do all of the topics that are laid out as options, but this helps me figure out which one you guys want to really hear or talk about next, and so I can prioritize that one to be the next one. So keep an eye out for that community post, and definitely let me know your thoughts by actually participating in that poll. So I think that's going to be everything for this episode of Chatting in My Closet. Cheers to a new year filled with health, joy, love, and new adventures. And I really look forward to continuing this series with all of you guys and really continuing the dialogue. It's really fascinating because we all have different perspectives that are really framed from our own experiences, and I really love learning and hearing more about that. So I look forward to talking to you more this year. If you like this episode of Chatting in My Closet, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate all of your feedback and support. If you like this kind of content and you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I post new fashion related videos every Sunday and Wednesday. So until next time, bye!